Here's why exposing targeted search results pages can be SEO gold. Hey everybody, Eric Enge here. I'm the principal for the Digital Marketing Solutions Business Unit at Proficient, and welcome to another episode of Here's Why. Today, please help me welcome John Dietrich. John is an organic search strategist specializing in technical SEO at Proficient. John and his team help create digital marketing success for mid-sized businesses as well as large enterprises. Say hi, John.
Hi, Eric. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So, John, there's a strong belief out there that you never want to expose your search pages to indexation. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Eric, I've heard that too. But there are cases where exposing a targeted group of search pages for indexation actually makes a lot of sense.
Agreed, but many people question whether there really are any search pages that are actually valuable to search engines.
You're absolutely right. But in many cases, an e-commerce site will have relevancy gaps in their category pages.
That's true. And for many e-commerce sites, they have good inventory that matches people's search intent, but there are no really good category pages to house that inventory. In that case, it makes sense to think about exposing some specific query relevant search pages to Google so users can find what they're looking for on your site. But can exposing too many of these pages to Google be a bad idea? I mean, a site could end up having thousands or even millions of URLs pointing to pages with little or no value for users, or Google.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a really good point. This technique can cause more harm than good, so definitely proceed with caution. It's critical to identify a specific set of search pages which only fill those gaps in your existing architecture with high quality and relevant content.
Great. So we're getting on the same page here. What's next?
Yes, so what's cloudy is now clearing up. Next, what we would need to do is identify those gaps in the existing category structure. So to do that, you'd need to do some competitive research to find out where there's good search demand for the products that your site offers.
Right. And using the keywords from that research to find out where a site doesn't already have category pages ranking reasonably well for those targeted terms can be a really good idea. When you have the inventory but don't have a good category page ranking, that's now when you start thinking about exposing a search page to meet that demand. So providing a targeted set of new query relevant to your pages this way can bring you valuable new traffic to your site. But I mean, is that all there is to it, John?
If only, right? But actually, there is some other steps that you need to take. So what we need to do is convince Google that the new search pages that you're exposing to indexation are actually worth the time and effort they take to index them. Google Search is very cautious about indexing new pages, particularly if they think that you're exposing them accidentally. Some webmasters do this by accident. There are parameters in URLs, so you can get into a situation where you're exposing way too many pages to indexation, and that can happen accidentally. So Google, again, they're cautious about that. So there are a few steps you can take to convince them that you really know what you're doing. For example, you can request indexation manually in Google Search Console. However, this is not a great option if you're exposing a few hundred, maybe a few thousand even pages to Google, because of course you don't want to be manually entering that high number of URLs.
Sure.
Yeah, or you could create a sitemap. Now, an XML sitemap. This is an SEO best practice anyway, so you're definitely going to want to include any canonical URLs in your XML sitemap. These new pages, of course, will be canonical as they're exposed to search. So creating an XML sitemap that has them is a good step as well. You can also create an HTML sitemap. So this would be a pretty good option. It does get your new pages into the crawl path, so that's important, right? But Google has indicated in the past that they don't pass PageRank through HTML sitemap links, so it could be considered a weak signal, though it should still help with the discovery of the new pages.
No, absolutely. All of that makes sense. And In addition to the steps that you've mentioned, a site should also add links to their new pages into already indexed and ranking pages. And this is, of course, your best bet, really, because it makes it look very natural and intentional. But it does require extra effort. To do this, look for pages which are relevant to some of the new search pages and add a link from those pages to the new one. I mean, ideally, like maybe even some of the other related category pages. If you're trying to do this at scale, you got to look for those category pages with an existing template where you could add a block of related links. And maybe that would be one way to pull this sort of additional content in. This will require some tagging or other more automated system for associating links. But if you can get those algorithms worked out or the process set up properly, it can work really well.
Absolutely. Getting the appropriate level of internal page rank flowing to the newly indexable search pages is definitely an important step. So this will help Google see that your site is placing the actual emphasis on the new pages and that they weren't exposed accidentally. So
Right.
here at Proficient, we actually use a proprietary tool called the PageRank Data Modeler, which can help us see the emphasis that a site is placing on pages. So we'd look at the whole site and gain a deep insight into how the page rank flows internally around a site. So using the PRDM tool, we can see exactly how much emphasis the new search pages are getting versus some of the existing category pages. So we can kind of get a sense of how much page rank should be flowing to the new pages to make them fit naturally into the site architecture. So updating related category and or product page templates, like you mentioned, with links to the newly indexable search pages is an important step. Like a new section for related or featured categories with these relevant links to the new search pages is an option. For example, to update a template, right? So this affects the site wide, and you can do it at a more programmatic level, since often you're talking about exposing quite a number of these to search.
Right. And once you've completed all these steps, basically it becomes a waiting game.
Absolutely. Depending on several variables like how large your site is, what Google's appetite for crawling is, etc., it could take weeks or even months to get these new pages indexed. But once Google does begin indexing these new pages, you're on your way to gaining that valuable traffic you've worked so hard to earn.
So that's great, John. Thanks so much for joining me today.
It's been my pleasure, Eric. Thanks a lot.
And thank you all for watching today's episode. If you liked it, please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the button below so you won't have to miss any future episodes. See y'all later.
See you later.